Hello, today we're looking at essential question number 2, how does the audience and purpose influence the format of writing? And essential question number 3, how do I make my poetry and research writing more interesting to my readers? So we're going to look at content number 8, to use multimedia components and visual displays and presentations. So please rate that, or please date that, today's date. Multimedia components and visual displays do help give a entertaining presentation to your audience, and we're going to be using Google Slides for that. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to open Google Slides and get on it, and just a little bit more specific information for this particular project as well. Something to remember: watch your font sizes and colors, make sure that they're readable, because using like yellow words on a yellow background is obviously not readable. So make sure that we're making it readable and we're not making it too small. Secondly, make sure that if you incorporate pictures to decorate, obviously for poetry that's required, but if you choose to for research, make sure that you do cite those pictures. They must be cited using the EasyBib program, so make sure you do cite pictures. And then we're going to talk about the number of total slides that you will have. That would be the minimum number of slides based on your presentation. But either poetry or research is still going to use a title slide at the beginning of the project, and then your final slide is going to be your works cited slide. So either way, whether you're poetry or research, you'll still start with your title slide, and your final slide will still be a works cited. So let's talk a little bit about using the Google Slides program, and I'm kind of going to pull it up this way so that way I feel like my thing runs a little slow. So to get to Google Slides, when you open a tab on your Chromebook, you go to the waffle in the top corner and you just click on Slides, and that's going to give you Google Slides as a presentation. Now, earlier I did create my own Google slide already, and I named it what I want you to name yours. So depending on whether you're doing poetry or research, please name it poetry/research publication, and I forgot my R, so I'll fix that. And then dash your first and last name. So there is some consistency there. I do want you to make sure that it's poetry/research publication dash your first and last name as the title. Now your title slide is going to look like this. It's going to have a bigger box at the top and then a smaller box on the bottom. In the bigger box, you're going to title your project anything you want. It's up to you. You can get creative and fancy, or you can get basic and general. I don't care. Just have a title and a title slide there. And then after that, you're going to have a section where you include by your first and last name. And that's usually, when you open it, it's going to be the subtitle section. So you want to put by your first and last name in that section. As we scroll through, if you look at this side area here, I put all these slides here. To add a slide, I just click on the plus sign. Now, these slides in the middle of your presentation for poetry and research, I want you to use the ones that have the smaller box on top and the big box on the bottom. The smaller box on top for poetry, that's where you're going to put the title of your poem, and then you would put the actual poem underneath here. And then for research, you would put your research question. So research question number 1 would be first, and then the whole question would be written out, and then your bulleted notes would go underneath. For poetry, please do not use bullets. And you can mess with the formatting if you're doing poetry. I'm completely okay if you're doing poetry to do 2 smaller squares and like have your poem covers 2 lines. You can do that, or you can use the whole box, but let's make it look poetic within that box. For research, it should not look poetic. I want you to make sure if for research you're using the bulleted list, just like I explained on that rubric yesterday. So you're going to start with a bullet, and there's where the bulleted lists, the bullets are, and each of your notes will be bulleted and listed down in complete sentences with your citation. And then, when you move on to the new note, you would have your complete sentence there with your in-text citation, and you would keep moving down. Make sure all those things are included. If you need to review how to do the in-text citation, you need to go back and rewatch that video using the date listed in your learning target packet for that organization number 2 research MLA format slide. So make sure we're remembering and we're practicing and we're mastering all the areas of our learning targets. And if you need to reread because you don't know how to do something, maybe you didn't focus on the video the first time, go back and rewatch it. But all slides in the body of your Google presentation should begin with the top section here and then the bottom section here. Poetry title up here, or research question listed up there, and then the poem itself down here, or the bulleted notes down there, depending on if you're poetry or research. Now, the final page of your slides is going to be your works cited slide. Now, if you notice, I've already got my works cited listed here. From, if we're doing research, obviously, you already made a works cited page of research, hopefully on a Google Doc. You just need to open that Google Doc, copy the title works cited in the top box, make sure it's centered. Remember, the works cited needs to be formatted proper, and then make sure that each of your copy and pasted citations are not centered. They should be left aligned, and then they should have that hanging indent. If these terms do not make sense to you, chances are you need to go back to organization number 2 video, look for the date, and rewatch that works cited video. Keep in mind, whether you're doing poetry or research, you will have the works cited as your final slide. So let's talk about how to do that and why you need to do it. So for poetry, it's not optional to include pictures. For research, it is optional to include pictures, but I do want you to make sure that your slides aren't all black and white for research. Make sure that we're creative with our color schemes, our word choice. Maybe we're doing a theme or a background over here on the margin, and we're utilizing that. I shouldn't see all black and white slides. I should see creativity and color and decoration incorporated. In addition to slide selection, though, poetry, I ask that you come up and use pictures. So here is a picture that I've added to this slide. Notice how I can use an entire picture as my background for my slide. You're welcome to do that. Or you can just put a small picture in the margin somewhere. That's an option too. But now we're going to talk about how to add and cite pictures. So we want to go to Google Images, and for that one I just looked for ocean, pretend I did a page on the ocean. Here's that slide. When you click on it, this big screen comes up here. To copy and paste your picture, you just put 2 fingers on the pad of your Chromebook and you push down, and that'll right click, and you want to copy the image. Once you copy image, you need to go back to the slide, click Control V, and it'll paste it on there for you. And that's all you do to get the image itself there. But remember, we need to cite and give credit to where this picture came from. To do that, you want to click on this visit option over here, but do not click on it with a left click. You want to right click on it. So you shouldn't open it up in a new tab. Here's why. Some of these sites will be blocked, but you can still see the pictures. So instead of clicking on that blocked link, you need to right click, click copy link address, and then you go into Easy Bib. Once you copy the link's address, say I only want to create a citation, Control V, paste that link that you just copied, and click Cite. You'll go through the process of citing that, and the citation will come up after you click Complete Citation. Once it's created, you'll see it listed. So notice how this gives the author, it gives, it says it's ocean or whatever. I would just click Copy Bibliography Citation. And then if I go back in here and go to my works cited slide, I can Control V, paste it directly in. Remember, don't forget to do that hanging indent. So in order to do the hanging indent, I may have to choose to go into the Google Doc, because you can't hanging indent in here. So I will open my Google Doc first. And that way I'm able to make my hanging indented citation. So here's that works cited that I made. That's the only way you can make it do the hanging indent is by adding it to your Google Doc first. So still, even though you're poetry and you may not have anything but pictures, make sure you create a brand new works cited, and notice how now I can add it in and it has that hanging indent. Remember all the rules of the works cited. Make sure they're alphabetical order. Make sure you're following that video to a T. Keep in mind also, poetry people, don't be goofy. Make sure you're not copy and pasting your works cited that you did for whatever you did for research. This is a brand new works cited that would just be your pictures, okay? So make sure you're following the rules. First slide is your title slide. We should have a minimum of 5 slides where your poems and your research questions are listed. Your final slides, your works cited. For research, that's all your notes, your articles, as well as your photos. For poetry, it's photos only, but that's what we're looking for to use multimedia components. So make sure you're doing your presentation properly. Let me know if you have questions. Go ahead and get to work.